The ballroom was alive with laughter, champagne, and the hollow kind of joy that only corporate parties seem to have. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over a sea of polished shoes and fake smiles. It was supposed to be a celebration, a night where everyone relaxed after another profitable quarter. But as I stood by the bar holding a glass I'd barely touched, I realized this night would be remembered for something entirely different. My wife, Claire, had made sure of that. She looked breathtaking that evening. Not because of her dress or the way her hair fell over her shoulders, but because she was performing. Performing for attention, for validation, for the one man in the room I had every reason to despise. My boss, Richard, a charming, smooth-talking executive who made everyone laugh just enough to hide how manipulative he truly was. I had noticed the subtle glances between them over the past few months. Too casual to be professional, too familiar to be innocent. I had confronted her once gently. She'd laughed it off, calling me paranoid. But paranoia doesn't feel like this. This quiet certainty that the person beside you has stopped seeing you as home. The band started a slow jazz number. The kind couples danced to when they wanted to show the world how close they were. I was about to turn and walk away when Richard extended his hand toward my wife. Claire hesitated just long enough to glance in my direction as if daring me to react, and then took his hand with a smirk that sent a chill through my veins. The crowd clapped, teasing them as they moved to the center of the floor. My co-workers laughed, thinking it was all in good fun. But I saw it in her eyes, that need to prove something, to hurt me just enough to remind me how replaceable she believed I was. They danced slowly, her hand pressed against his chest, her laughter echoing across the hall like broken glass. Richard whispered something at her ear, and she threw her head back, laughing louder than anyone else in the room. Every move was deliberate. Every touch exaggerated. I stood there, not angry, not jealous, just silent. The kind of silence that's sharper than any outburst. The kind that builds before a storm no one sees coming. One of the waiters, a young guy I often tipped well, passed by with a tray of glasses. I stopped him with a calm nod and took 2 drinks. I didn't drink either. I just watched. The music changed again. The tempo quickened, and that's when Claire looked at me over Richard's shoulder, her eyes taunting me like a dare. She mouthed something jealous and smiled. That was her mistake. She thought she was in control. She thought humiliation was power. I set both glasses on the nearest table and walked toward them, not with anger, but with unnerving calm. The laughter began to fade as people noticed. The dance floor opened slightly as I approached. Claire's smile faltered just slightly, but she didn't step back. Richard grinned, assuming I'd either storm out or make a scene. Either way, it would be entertaining. Instead, I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. "Excuse me," I said softly. The room quieted, curiosity rippling through the crowd. "Since you both seem to enjoy working so closely together," I continued, handing the envelope to Richard. "You might as well know. Those documents inside finalize my resignation. You'll need a new senior partner." The smirk on Richard's face evaporated instantly. He looked down at the envelope, confusion turning to discomfort as whispers spread. My wife blinked rapidly, realizing what I'd just done. I hadn't just walked away from her game. I destroyed the board entirely. "What are you doing?" she stammered, her voice trembling for the first time that night. I leaned closer, my voice low, but sharp enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Taking away what you thought you could use to hurt me. You see, Claire, I was never the one dependent here." The band had stopped playing entirely. You could hear the clinking of a glass in the silence. Claire reached for my arm, panic rising in her voice. "Don't do this here," she started. But I pulled away, smiling coldly. "Why not? You started it here." Her face drained of color as people turned their attention fully to her. I didn't need to say another word. The humiliation was already complete. The man she'd flirted with was frozen, awkward, and red-faced, holding a resignation letter he didn't want. As I turned to leave, she followed a few steps behind. Desperate now, whispering harshly, "Please, can we just talk?" I didn't even glance back. "You should have thought about that before you turned our marriage into entertainment," I said calmly, walking past the rows of stunned colleagues. "No shouting, no scene, Just a quiet exit that screamed louder than anything she'd said all night. By the next morning, the office was buzzing. Word spread fast, not just about my resignation, but about the reason behind it. Rumors painted the picture for me. I didn't have to say a thing. Richard's reputation took a hit and Claire's world began to crumble. She called me 15 times that morning. Her messages shifting from defensive to pleading. I didn't answer a single one. She wanted power. I gave her silence instead. The one thing she couldn't manipulate. A week later, I heard she'd been quietly removed from company events. Apparently, someone had leaked photos of her dancing with Richard. Nothing inappropriate, but enough to question boundaries. The irony, I didn't leak a thing. People drew their own conclusions, and she couldn't stop them. Sometimes revenge doesn't need fire or fury. Sometimes it only takes a calm smile and a single well-timed move to make the entire room and the person who underestimated you realize they were never in control. That night, as I drove away from that glittering hall, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. And for the first time in years, the silence wasn't cold. It was freedom.